Here's another thing, another couple things that you want to check, when the seasons are about to go. And from summer to fall or fall to winter is a good time to just kind of do a bunch of checklist things, make sure things are clear and clean and all in good shape for the winter months. So what are we going to talk about in here in the laundry room?
So this one particular laundry room has a couple of things. Obviously, washer and dryer are something we use every day for the most part, depending on how many people are in your household. Dryer vents are one of the top 2 causes of fires in a home. And so every time you use it, you're creating some lint that's going through that dryer vent, and cleaning it. It's just a thing you have to do. The thing that people miss is, in a room like this, it's not even on your radar because you have really nice finish out. You have built-in cabinets for them.
Well, and on this house, it's in the middle of the house, so you don't even see the vent on the outside. It's going to be going up through the attic and onto the roof even.
Correct. And so, people see dryer vents on the outside of the house. Usually it's out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
They are allowed by the building code to be 35 feet long. And so if that's going up, obviously, time over time, you're going to get some buildup in there because the dryer just isn't powerful enough to really push that. So that's the very, very limit. But in a 2-story house like this or a tall ceiling house, 20 feet is pretty normal. And also you have to account 5 feet for each bend, a 90-degree bend, 2.5 feet if it's a 45. But because you don't see it, it's just not something that's on your mind. They're suggested to be cleaned annually. And so fall is a good time for that. Things are kind of slowing down. This scenario is one where you probably want to have somebody come do it because you really have to uninstall the equipment. This is the washing machine, that's the dryer, but it needs to be pulled out, disconnected, and they make brushes that have extension connectors on them that they use a drill. And you're able to do this yourself. What I caution people is, if you're not thinking about what you're doing, that dryer vent is getting lint deposited around the edges of it. Well, as you run that brush up there, you're breaking some of it free, and when you pull it out, you're getting some of that out. But for the most part, you're pushing it up to the top. And so if you're cleaning it without going either into the attic and disconnecting the pipe or going onto the roof and making sure that that opening's not clogged, what you could be doing is capping your dryer vent and creating a much larger problem. And so, yes, there are a lot of things that are home maintenance that can be done. You just have to make sure you know what you're doing. And if you don't think you can do it, there's plenty of chimney sweep, dryer vent companies that do those kind of things.
That was my next question. Who would you call to do that?
Chimney sweep, which when you look those companies up, it's typically the people that install fireplaces. So in our area, the fireplace company, and for some reason the garage overhead door companies will do them too. It's kind of, I guess those businesses kind of overlap, but it's very, very important. I kind of gauge it based on how much we use, and typically what you'll find is if you have a large load of laundry that doesn't dry in one cycle, that's an indicator that that vent's not very efficient. And so it's something you want to look for, but essentially annually is what the recommendation is.
If you're washing a bunch of really hairy dog blankets in there, which I wouldn't do, that might be, you might check it a little more often, or, I don't know. New towels always seem to make a lot of extra fuss, and blankets and things like that. So
exactly, anything that's going to shed its material, and the concern is the static electricity that happens in there. And so the more of that lint, the more potential for that, and then the higher potential for a sparking. And so that's why we want to do those things.
That's a big safety thing to do then.
Absolutely.
So really important to check.
The other thing you typically find in a laundry room or a mud room is a water heater. This house, of course, doesn't have that, you can see, but what it does have is the control for the tankless water heater. And there's actually 2 in the house. One's on the other side for convenience, because these tankless water heaters will create hot water indefinitely as long as the water's on.
On demand,
the further away from the unit you are, the longer it takes to get water. So in a bigger house, they'll do 2 of them. It's not an absolute necessity, but it's a good thing to have. But from here, you can actually turn the water heater on and off. You can adjust the temperature. This one and most water heaters will stop you at 120 degrees. That one actually let us go higher. The reason that 120 is recommended is because that's the scald limit. Anything above that can burn your skin. And so anyone who has any skin in that game or manufacturer is going to tell you don't go higher than that. Some people like hot showers, so you can go a little higher. This one is really getting up there. But it's a good way to monitor and know. But one of the things that we can look at in just a little bit is, because it's not a storage tank, you don't have to drain these for maintenance, but they do have a protocol for flushing the system out.
Okay.
And they have some equipment on them that we can look at when we get out there. But
Good deal.
you can turn them off just as easy as that. So if you want to play a prank on your guests, or you're leaving town and you don't want to worry about it, they shut off very, very easily.
Yeah. So if you had a standard, a usual water heater, then you want to always drain those every year, or what's the theory on that?
Recommended maintenance is that you drain your water heater every year. What I think most people in the industry will tell you, if you haven't done it and that water heater is 10 years old, don't start. The reason you drain them is because as that water is heated, you're burning sediment off, and so you create a layer of sediment, and it usually looks like little white balls, but it can deposit along the sides of the tank. And so if you're doing it annually, you're getting it out of there. If you wait 5, 6, 7 years to do it, that sediment can attach to the sides of the unit, and so draining the system and the trauma that happens from completely filling and completely draining can cause the lining to break loose. And so sometimes if you haven't drained it and you decide, let's just do this, you can cause a leak.
Right.
And so it's kind of the old, if you're a little bit older, cars with transmissions, they always would say you're supposed to change the fluid, but if you haven't done it, don't, because it'll go out. It's very similar with the water heater. It's just, yes, absolutely, you should do it. If it hasn't been done, it's kind of a cross your fingers and let's just hope we get some more life out of it.
Because those have gotten a lot more expensive to change out with, everything else with inflation. But
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, water heater's over $2,000 now, right?
I actually had a water heater in my house that was 35 years old, and finally went out this summer and I found out how much a water heater costs. You can see one for sale, but to install a water heater, $1,500 to $2,000 is pretty normal. So that's why maintenance is important on those things too. You want to get as much life out of the equipment.
Right. 35 years is pretty good. Yeah.
Nearly unheard of, I would say.
Hey, I showed you a picture of mine. It's got some bubbling out matter, so mine's probably on its way out. But I'm going to keep limping along till I have to.
That's right. Some of us have to get every ounce of it we can.
Exactly. So we're going to go outside and we'll show you what the other side of these tankless water heaters looks like and how to flush them out.